everyone, and welcome down to episode 49 of the Down South Photo Show with me. Oh, no, I'm not doing it that way. I'm doing it this way. First of all, I want to thank everyone for
good start
subscribing. We've had a spike in subscribers. Another one. I don't know if this one's a real one or not, but we can check that.
Yeah, this one seems to be less subcontinentally spiked.
We've got some new followers. We've got some new people on board, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Our last episode on composition rated really well on the podcast charts, Cam, which was pretty cool.
That would indicate that we got the composition of the episode spot on.
Hello. It would. Not bad for completely winging it at the time.
Yes.
But yeah, thanks everyone for the comments on the episode last week, which was really well received. So thank you.
Yeah.
My name's Brendan Waits. I'm here in Ocean Grove in Victoria. That guy over there is Cam Blake. He's in Hobart, Tasmania. Hello, Cameron.
G'day, Brendan. That was a very good intro. I like it.
I had to go off script. I think if you play back through, what's this, episode 49? I think if you go back through 40 of them, they all start exactly the same.
They all start the same. So we're mixing it up. Maybe we should just reverse the episodes and finish first and start last.
We can do a reverse episode.
We could. I'm really well, mate.
Dear Cam, yes. I have a dear. No,
we do have a dear Cam, don't we? This episode.
We do have a dear Cam tonight.
So stay tuned for that.
Exciting. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a little teaser for you folks.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a little bit of a spike in subscribers, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And like you said, the last episode had a bit of a peak to it, which is awesome. Yeah. I just got back from a workshop at Cradle, and a couple of guests there were also saying that they'd listened to it a couple of days before they came along. Actually, no, it came out. They listened to it the episode before, and then they listened to the compositional one as well.
That
so
part of the contract when you sign them up for a workshop?
Yeah, it is, and it is. And again, I'm absolutely shitful at promoting this myself in the show.
I'm pretty ordinary at it as well, but that's okay.
Yeah, but it's good. So thank you everyone who listened and all the feedback. Again, we love the feedback, we love the comments, even if the comments don't really gel with what we say. We don't care. I know there's one of our listeners who's actually been a host. He had a few things to say, which is great. I love it.
Yes.
It sounded like he got a bit fired up, but maybe he didn't. I don't know.
No.
Not that kind of guy?
No, not at all.
No.
All
right.
Lover, not a fighter.
All right. Excellent.
Yeah. So what are we going to start with? Background. So I changed the script, and now I've lost the plot.
I reckon we start with the DigiDirect competition that's still going on.
Of course we do.
Yeah.
DigiDirect, our good friends at DigiDirect in Melbourne, Victoria, Australia, who sponsored episode 47 a couple of weeks ago, gave us a $150 gift voucher to give away, and that's for any DigiDirect store. Well, you can use it online, you can use it in store, whatever.
Yeah.
So you don't have to be at DigiDirect Melbourne to use it. No. And what we want to, the way we're going to give out that voucher is we want to see your landscape photos. So we want you to message them to us via direct message or Instagram message so that we see them, because sometimes when you send them just as a tagged comment or something like that, it disappears into the ether. So we want to actually see these entries. So send them on in, and we're going to pick the best one, and we're going to give you a $150 voucher to use DigiDirect. How cool is that?
We are, absolutely. And we've already had a few people send them in, so it's on the run. At the moment, there's about 3 or 4 people in the running for a $150 voucher. So, nice. And they're good. I like them. I like seeing landscape porn.
There you go, folks. If there's only 3 or 4 so far, the odds are very, very good. So get an entry in.
Having said that, though, and this is something I'll put it in the notes because we had a good conversation on the way back from Cradle Mountain yesterday about this. There hasn't been a female landscape photographer enter so far. Right. So, male or female, let's not let the guys get all the accolades and all the $150 vouchers. Let's see some ladies put their landscape shots in as well.
Well, there are more than half of the population is female, so come on, let's see them. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I'm going to put in the notes as you're going on to our background. You'll start with your background. I'm going to put something in our notes that we might chat about as well, because this is how scripted we are. We just make shit up on the go
as we fly. I like it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start with my background. This is the Ovens River as it flows right through the heart of beautiful Bright. One of Cam's favourite stomping grounds, Bright for sure.
100%.
If you look straight into the image across the other side is the beginning of the caravan park that's over on that side of the river.
Yes.
If you're to go upstream to my right, there's the little bridge and the little cascades and stuff. So this is literally right behind the best establishment in Bright, which is, of course, the Bright Brewery.
The Bright Brewery, exactly.
Absolutely wonderful part of the world. This was autumn 2018, I reckon. So this was, well, a couple of years, geez, 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago. Bloody Nora, where the hell is this time going? But it was actually sort of late-ish autumn, as you can tell. There wasn't a heap of foliage, but geez, it was kicking off. It was sort of later in the day as the sun was getting low and creating some beautiful colours on the Ovens River. Fantastic spot. If you haven't been, you must.
Well, if you haven't been, this is a bit of a shout out to everyone that listens. We have quite a lot of subscribers. On the second weekend of October, starting on the 7th of October, there is the Bright Festival of Photography, arguably the best photography festival in Bright that's held each year. It's been online for the last few years due to our good friend COVID, but we're back in person this year. 500 tickets are on sale. They're selling them fast and almost sold them out. But what it is, it's a weekend of multiple different workshops across multiple genres of photography. You park your bum in Bright and you just go around up Mount Buffalo, out to the Buckland Valley, right where Brendan is in that shot there, all these different workshops. It's an amazing weekend of stuff. It's about $160 for a ticket. That gets you into almost most of the workshops, and you can buy some extra time at different workshops. Fills in a few days, starts Friday lunchtime, finishes Sunday afternoon. So it's what is the address? www.bfopaustralia.com.au. Get on it, folks.
That is BFOP, as in Bright Festival
of Photography. Yeah, I knew it.
Well, link in description, no doubt.
Link in description. My background, I still don't know how to. I can't do this or anything.
Too far away. You need a stick to reach to cover your camera.
I've got a lens cap.
That didn't work. No, that was just a plug for Olympus.
It was the former artist formerly known as something else. So this is Reynolds Falls. I put this up because we're going to have a chat about waterfalls tonight, in case you haven't figured that out. But this is just a beautiful waterfall. It's about a 18K hike west of Cradle Mountain. For those who do come on workshops or know me pretty well, this has a pretty epic story behind how this photo was captured and how we got out of there. So yeah, that's a pretty full-on story, but it's a beautiful waterfall. It's about a 60-70 meter waterfall, just shoots out the wall into this sort of prehistoric landscape. So it's definitely one to visit if you've got the means.
Well, I'm going to put a link in description for the story that you told with another organization about that photo.
Yes, I did I? Which one did I tell that?
You remember. It'll come back to you.
All right. Oh yeah, actually, I think I do remember.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we'll chuck
a yes. That's an embarrassing video, but anyway, we'll chuck it in there. So yeah, that was my background.
Nice. You had a workshop at the lovely Cradle Mountain. Now, I get speaking of photo porn, Cam sends me. Well, he puts it out there, and I follow Cam's stuff. So I've seen some lovely stuff coming out of Cradle Mountain over the last few days. Looks like conditions were chef's kiss.
They were. Although for a winter photography workshop at Cradle Mountain, we had 2 hours of snow over 4 or 5 days. So it wasn't as wintry as we would normally expect in the first couple of weeks of August. That's okay, though. But we did get conditions that are pretty rare at Cradle Mountain. We had almost back-to-back sunrise sunsets with absolutely mint light. And we're still getting that funny glow that everyone keeps saying is from this Tongan volcano that's spinning in the atmosphere, all this ash. And we got that sort of magenta-y gold glow happening each night. So we got some stunning shots of Cradle Mountain with a dusting of snow, Mirror Lake, no wind. It was magic. So it was a really good workshop. We had a great group. They're all watching, no doubt. Now, I did plug it to the group because most of them already listened anyway. So, g'day to you guys who came along. We had a great time. We had plenty of laughs, plenty of stories, heaps of photographs, and we ran into another couple of photo groups there as well. So the first week or two of August seems to be the prime time to do Cradle Mountain. So we ran into a guy, can't think of his name, Tom Dutt or Tom Butt. Oh, yeah. I can't think. He's a bit
no. Pom Tut.
Oh, Pom Tut. Yeah. Pom Tut
Yeah.
from the other side of the bay from you. He
Yeah.
was there running a workshop where his guests actually seemed really nice, which I was surprised at that they would book
Yeah.
with him. But they had a
Did
great.
you, does it get awkward?
It doesn't get awkward. Tom and I are actually pretty good mates. So he walked out of the reception after logging in. He got there a couple of days after we did. He walked out of reception of the lodge and we saw each other. We shook hands, said, "G'day, how you going?" And he introduced me to, it was quite funny. He introduced me to his group and he said, "Oh, this is Cam Blake." And everyone's like, "Oh, okay, I think I know you." And at that time, because we've been going so hard morning, night, and in between, I had half my group decided that they were going to have a nana nap for an hour or two, just have an hour back in their cabins to chill out. And I had another two ladies that decided to take off into this big King Billy forest behind the lodges. So it's very safe and straightforward. I said, "Look, if you guys want to go for a walk there, I'll get a few things organised for the afternoon." And so he's like, "Oh, this is Cam. He's running a workshop. Where are all your guests?" And I'm like, "Wow, two of them are in the forest and three of them are in bed." So that looked a bit weird, but and then we caught up down the lake, and Tom and I get on really well. We exchanged a lot of details and notes, and told him what was working for us when we were there, and vice versa. So he's still up there. He's been sending me pictures today from Cradle, like I send to you, rubbing it in. So yeah, it was good. It was a really good workshop. We had a great time.
Good.
Yeah.
Nice.
How's your week? Are you buying new cars and flash new houses now with the shop? And
I'm clearing the backlog is what I'm doing. We're well and truly entrenched in the new location now. More people have come to see me in the last 3 weeks than probably for the last year at the old location. It's just been crazy how
that's brilliant.
It's really good, and a lot of people have said that they've listened to the show as well, which is really cool.
That's good.
So yeah, no, it's great, but a lot of canvas work going out. So because the new shop's got really good exposure front windows wise, I've put a lot of my canvases on display, and they're selling really well, which is great. But also people are like, "Hey, you can make this photo onto a canvas for me." It's like, yep, I can do that. So there's been a lot of that going on. In fact, before we got on air tonight, I was in here. I've done 5 canvases so far, and I've got 2 to finish after we do the pod. So
I was gonna say, because printing a print off at your work, as I know, it's print off the printer, roll up, away you go. But doing canvases, that's a lot more involved for you.
It is,
because you make the frame, or you get the frame and put them all together, and then you stretch it all and staple it all down, plus you print it. So are you going to look at employing someone to do your canvases for you?
I have my very good mate, here's a plug, my good mate Chris at the frame shop Geelong, who currently makes all the stretcher bars for me, has put his hand up to start doing the stretching for me as well.
Oh, nice.
Which is great. So he'll be handling a lot of, particularly the bigger ones, because I'm just so tight for room, and transporting big canvases can be fraught with danger. They're fragile. You got to look after them. So as much as I can minimize that, the better. So I've got Chriso doing a lot of canvas stretching for me now, which is great. So dropped off 10 or so canvases to him last night. So yep, it's good.
Yeah.
And it'll free me up a little bit more to actually get back into taking some photos, which would be mint. That's my main the main drive of getting into the new shop too, is to hopefully I can turn things around a bit and get back out in the field.
Yeah. Well, that's good that he can help out. Because like I said, I've been in that shed where you are, and there is a lot of stuff there, and it does gets full on.
If I could get rid of the back, I'm not going to do it because it's such a bloody mess in here. But if I turn around, I can see 10 unstretched canvases, probably 3 or 4 that are complete, 5, 6 that are complete, and it's like this all the time, and it's annoying me because I work all day and then I come home and then I hang out with the kids for a couple of hours and they go into the shed and stretch canvases. So that's something's got to give there, and it's changing. So it's good.
Absolutely, that's fair enough. So well, it's good though. It's good that it's busy, and I'm sure you'll work it out as you always do, and it's all that work-life balance, isn't it?
Cameraandphoto.com.au. If you want to order a canvas print, you can do it online as well. How exciting.
That is very exciting.
Maybe I'll sponsor an episode and give away a $150 voucher.
Sponsor your own show.
Why not? I think I've done it before, actually, haven't I?
I think you did.
Yeah. Well, inserted an ad at some point.
You did
Nice.
insert it. Actually, you did insert an ad for that, and the feedback I got was, "Don't do that."
Yes. Can you stop doing that?
Can you stop doing your own ad? So,
yeah, that was back when we had like 80 subscribers. Imagine the outrage now.
Yeah. No, fair enough.
Right. What are we talking about tonight, Cameron?
I had a couple of things, and one little quick one I just typed in there at the moment.
Yes.
That I wanted to talk about was on the way back from Cradle Mountain, and I know we have a fairly good, healthy sort of Tasmanian listenership of this show. And on the way back from Cradle Mountain, people were asking a few questions, and we're just going through some of the other landscape photographers around Tassie that pop up. And for the life of me, I could only come up with maybe one or two female Tasmanian landscape photographers that I cross paths with. That's not to say there's not a hell of a lot more, but it was really quite interesting. And then we started started working through the states of Australia and, the landscape photographers. And I know we've spoken about female landscape photographers before on the show. But again, it just seems like there's a bit of a lack of landscape photographers that are female in Australia. And I'm sure there's a lot more. And the question that we're talking about is, why aren't they as visible or as vocal, or, maybe that's just the thing that female photographers are not as big and boisterous as us. But yeah, I'd love people to, again, just plug in our comments the female landscape photographers that inspire them across Australia. If you know some really good Tasmanian ones that I, for some reason, don't know, please put them in the comments as well. But it was just one of those. I was driving along and as you're driving along, you're trying to think. I'm like, I can't think of too many, to be honest. And I was a bit shocked by that. So I thought just a quick little tap on there. If you do have, I know we've had people. I know Mika Boyton actually is one great one in Northeast Victoria, and she plugged a lot of female landscape photographers that were global. But I'd like to see more of Australians.
It won't be too much longer, and we might even have Mika on the show, but we'll see how we go there. We'll put the feelers out, and
yeah, absolutely.
We'll get that happening at some point. That'd be great.
Well, I'll see her at BFOP, so maybe I can I can round her up into a corner and say, right, you're coming on the show.
Well, because I'm not going to be around during BFOP, so maybe she can come on. Maybe she can co-host with you for one episode.
Maybe.
Who knows?
I don't know how I'd go because I'd probably be the host then, wouldn't I?
No, she would be.
yeah, right. Well, that's okay. If she takes over, then I'm happy just to follow along. But yeah, that was just a quick little thing.
I haven't given up on the idea of doing a show while I'm in New Zealand, so we'll see. Look, well, the inverse to that, or the inverse to what you're saying there is, where are all the male baby portrait photographers?
That's true. But
I don't know if it's just a.
Is photography that pigeonholed where,
I don't know.
Like I know down here in Tassie, we were also talking about this, about the female or the wedding photography gang or crew. And I would have to say, I think there's a lot more female wedding photographers here in Tasmania, like a majority more.
From my experience, because I print for a lot of pro photographers, in my area, it's pretty much a 50-50 split for weddings.
Yeah.
So weddings would be 50-50. Portrait work, straight out portrait and particular baby portrait stuff, female dominated, absolutely dominated. And then landscape photography, you're right, I would have to think pretty hard in this area. I definitely know two or three for sure. But I can very quickly rattle off the male ones really fast, who seem to be a lot more prolific. So it is interesting, isn't it? I don't know. I'm not sure what to put it down to.
Yeah, and I don't know. Like, we also had another conversation that we have a fair bit is I seem to get probably majority females on my workshops, which is awesome. I don't rate people by gender as to how they take photos or how good or bad they take photos or whatever, but I tend to attract more female photographers on my workshops. And it becomes a question about, I don't feel safe about going on my own to some landscapes, or I don't feel comfortable going out on my own.
Yeah, sure.
And I absolutely hate the fact that there is people in our community that would feel awkward about going out on their own to take photos. And I understand why.
That's one of the reasons.
Yeah, and that may be one of the reasons why we have a more prominent industry of, like I said, female wedding photographers or baby photographers or portrait photographers, because there is a bit more of a safety zone that they work in, I guess, like they're working in a studio or they're working,
so
you know.
Well, I think the caveat is we're talking about professionally, right?
Yeah.
So we're not just talking about hobbyists. We're talking about professional landscape photographers.
Yeah.
Seems to be male dominated, and and I think that's global.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, pardon my ignorance, but I think that's global. So
yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I just wanted to touch on that. It's not something that we thought about yesterday on the way home. So if you've got some Australian landscape photographers, now we know like there's some pretty big ones out there, like Julie Fletcher and Mika and a few others. So, but if there's other ones in your local area that you really like, even if they're not well known, even if it's just someone you think takes wonderful photos, I was going to say potatographs then. Maybe not potatographs, but photographs.
Photographs.
For photographs. Then chuck some details in the comments. I'd love to, go and have a look and start following these things.
We have a very talented lady in our area, Sandy Goddard, who I think is a listener. Right. She's very, very talented, does very, very good landscapes. In fact, I bumped into her one day down at Hopeton Falls while she was there. And very, very talented, good landscape photographer. So by all means, hit us up in the comments if you want us to drop a link to your page and that sort of stuff. Ladies, happy to give you a shout out. Yeah,
absolutely. So that was, like I said, that was the little mini topic I wanted to touch on. So
And so the next sort of thing that we wanted to talk about was all about different camera brands. Now this is very broad, Cam. Was there one particular area you want to talk about, or do you want to talk more broadly?
Broadly and narrowed down, I guess.
Okay.
Like, again, like a lot of these
things. Pick the eyes out of this.
Yeah, and this is the thing. This is what I do on workshops. I go away and spend time with these awesome people for 5 or 6 days. We all talk shop as you do. And I always come away with these questions. So, these guys keep feeding my interest in photography and my passion. So, but like every workshop we go to, and even with Tom Putt's workshop that was there, and there was another, We Are Raw, who are another photography tour group. They were out there as well. Everyone's got different brands. Everyone's got different lenses. But you talk to people, it's like, oh, you've got a Canon. Okay, yeah, cool. Okay, why did you go with Canon? Oh, X, Y, and Z. Or, oh, you got Olympus. Oh, okay, why did you go X, Y, Z? But there's such a wide range of brands out there. But the question I want to put out there is, does it make any difference? Yeah. Like the brands to me now, because people, I had my Fuji, I had the medium format Fuji I took with me. And people ask a lot of questions about that camera because it's a medium format and it's a bit of a wanker camera type of thing. But people are like, oh, yeah, it must be heaps better. I'm like, well, no, I reckon I can take a photo on this camera, my Olympus and a Leica and a Sony, put them all together, print them, put them on the wall. You won't tell the difference.
The differences are so marginal now.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
And I think actually it's been that way for quite some time. But the differences really are marginal. It used to be, and I think when digital was in its infancy back in our camera house days, Cam, particularly when digital SLRs first came along, I think there were some big differences. And it wasn't necessarily a big difference in the price point. They were all roughly around the same sort of coin.
Yeah.
But I got to a point, and actually the one, and people are going to say, oh, you're a bloody fanboy. The one that stood out for me early days was Olympus.
Geez, you're such a fanboy.
I know, for their color palette, mainly. I think I really liked Olympus color, the E300.
Yeah.
Remember that little, you would have owned one of those.
I think I owned one of those, yeah.
I went through like 3 of them. I loved that camera. I wish I still had one. I can't even,
I'm not buying you one, all right? I already bought you a K1000. I'm not buying you a bloody 300.
Thing of the past, the 8 megapixel U beauty, three count them, three
focus
points.
Yeah, for 3 focus points. It's amazing.
Get out of town. How many is in the latest Sony A7R?
Like 195 or something.
I think there's even more than that.
Yeah. See, look, we got talking about on the weekend as well that, if you took all the brands together, chucked them in a big barrel and twisted them around, what would you come out with? And I've had this conversation a few times, and you're spot on what you're saying about the Olympus cameras. But Olympus and Fuji have a very, very popular color palette. People, especially for landscapes, they do greens and blues and things like that really Fuji, nicely.
Fuji are known to mimic their film. So
that's right.
And they actually have the filters built in where you can actually shoot.
That's right. You can shoot Provia or Velvia and all that kind of stuff. So
very cool.
So like that's sort of something that we come away with each time, that, what brand I think we need to stop having this brand conversation. Like people are like, oh, what are you using? What are you using? Like it's good to know, oh, okay, you got a Sony, what's that like? And oh, okay, they're cool, whatever. But I think when you get to the next step where you sort of start comparing quality, I think that conversation is dead. I don't think it's even relevant anymore.
Yeah, I think you're probably right for the most part. We've talked about this before, but I find the difference because I print a lot.
Yeah.
That's where the differences can definitely be seen when it comes to printing an image. However, I always sort of do a 180 on that when I say, well, it's all about correct viewing distance anyway. So
yeah,
you can enlarge a photo up to 1,000% in Photoshop and have a look at it and see how sharp it is and all. That's great. But then drop it back out to 100% and then print it at 20 by 30 inches and then put it on a wall.
Yeah.
Now, I just want to run the folks through when I talk about correct viewing distance, what I actually mean by that.
Yeah. Yes.
So correct viewing distance on a screen or a print or an image or a canvas roughly is 3 times its diagonal. So, for example, if I've got a 60 by 40 inch or 1.5 meters by 1 meter canvas, the diagonal on that is going to be something like 1.25 meters. Well, correct viewing distance on that means it's 3 3/4 meters away.
Yeah,
that's a long way. That's if you think about that, like the average house,
that's the other side of the room.
Average sized lounge room, you're on the other side of the room.
Yeah,
average size, right? So when you take into account correct viewing distance, and this is one thing that's bugged me my whole career, is so I'll give an example. We went on, it was actually the artist formerly known as, I went on one of their training days back when I just started with Geelong Camera House.
Yeah.
And I think that might have been just when Micro Four Thirds came out, actually. It was around then. And with their, what was that first one? The EM1?
Yeah, EM1, yep.
Yeah, great camera. Fantastic camera. But we went to Werribee Open Range Zoo and we shot all these awesome photos. And then we ended up at some hotel in Melbourne in the boardroom, and they're showing us, we printed off some photos. And they put this print of I did a photo of a giraffe. It was really cool. They printed it off on some Epson and he gave me a magnifying glass.
Yep.
And I went, yeah, okay, it's good. He said, no, have a close look. And I'm like, why?
Yeah.
When am I ever going? When is anyone ever going to do that? It looks awesome. I can see it looks awesome.
Yeah.
And now that could have been any company's training day, and I would have had exactly the same response. But it comes down to marketing, and they put this technology in. They are sharp, and certain brands are better. And they drive that point so hard to the fact that people go, oh, well, Sony and Canon and Nikon, this is the best, and to some extent, certain images are better on certain cameras, but at correct viewing distance, they're all the same. And like you say, it's within really narrow margins of difference.
Yeah, I agree. And like that's the thing these days is I've been saying for a few years, but I think a lot of people, and this will get a few people riled up, but I think a lot of people have actually been victims of really good marketing.
Yeah.
That they've actually gone and bought a camera purely on the back of being sucked in from marketing, as opposed to buying what's best for them as a photographer. And, I see it all the time. I see people rock up with these, amazing cameras, and they don't touch 90% of the features that these cameras have, or they don't even understand what the features or sensor or autofocus is capable of doing. So I really think we need to just, it's a bit like what we spoke about the other week about real photography and digital art. We need to draw a line and say, you know what, brands are dead. I know you said you see it through your printing, but comparing brands these days for the majority of people that are buying cameras, I think is a complete waste of time and an absolute irrelevant conversation to have. I think there's certainly merit in lens qualities. And, you can always say, look, an OM kit lens is nowhere near as good as a Leica top line lens. Like, they're going to be poles apart in quality, absolutely. But if you're just comparing brands and what most normal people are buying for their camera stuff, I think we just need to stop. It just becomes a bit of a dick measuring contest, really, and lack of a better phrase, but that's what it is. Like, you see people rock up and it's almost like when you rock up to a car park, what are you driving? What's he driving? It's like some sort of status, like community status as to how good you are.
Yeah, I mean, and you and I have seen both sides of the industry, so we kind of get it. One thing I will say though about marketing is generally speaking, so if you're buying your first SLR,
Yep.
generally speaking, I'm going to guess 80% of the time,
Yeah.
if you bought a Canon, that's it. You're in the
Yeah,
Canon ecosystem, and away you go. So I understand fully why these companies need to be at the cutting edge of technology and manufacturing amazingly sharp and all these features. Like one incredible feature that's available now is eye autofocus. So you're across this, Cam.
Is this where it follows the eye and focuses?
Yeah. So for sports photography and wedding photography, portrait, that sort of stuff, which I realize isn't what we talk about a lot, but it boggles the mind how good it is. Like it's almost like cheating when you see, particularly sports. So it was Frono's Photo did a thing on it where he had, I think it was like in an NFL game, American football, and even through the helmets, you could see all the eyes picked up. Yeah, but he would have had like 13 players, and all of them, their eyes were picked up in, and it was like, wow, that's pretty awesome. Anyway, I digress. What I'm saying here is it's the company now that can capture the beginner or capture the pro, the what are they called, the high-end enthusiast, the pro enthusiast that really wants to get good gear or get the latest high-end gear. Once they're in that ecosystem, away you go. Now that can chop and change a wee bit, but generally speaking, if you start with Canon, you're going to be with Canon for good.
And that's a really good point you make there, because I pull out the new OM1, which obviously I'm a big fan of and love the system, and that's no secret, but it really does almost sell itself, that camera. I've sold so many of these cameras into people's hands just off the back of them seeing a bit of what I do and them using it on the Olympus days. But the one thing is, like, you almost see it's a bit of a buyer regret that they look at this, they've bought their new Nikon or Canon or Sony or whatever it might be, and they see something that's maybe a bit better or a bit more practical for what they want to use. Maybe not better, I won't say, but more practical for what they want to use, lightweight, interesting, weatherproofing, all that kind of stuff. And the biggest thing they say to me is like, well, I can't change now. Like I've spent all this money on Canon, Nikon, Sony, whatever it might be. I can't change over now. And like, I'm stuck. So I've said to a lot of people, well, I can even see with some people, like there's a couple of people I've had who've had Nikons with the giant 500mm lens on it, and they literally walk with a limp because this camera is so heavy off their shoulder.
Oh, and I'm like, look, and you know what annoys me the most about that is they went into the camera shop.
Yes, this is what shits me as well.
The salesperson just went, "Come in, spinner.
Mm-hmm.
You need to spend $7,500. You need to get this lens, that lens. Oh, this is the best. That's the best." That really shits me because people are wasting their money that they could use on workshops, money that they could use to travel and actually practice their photography. The average photographer does not need a 70 to 200 f2.8 lens. They just don't need it.
That's right. And you're right. And again, that's another thing I hear quite a lot is people go, well, I went into the shop and that's what they told me I would need.
Yeah.
And I sort of go back to them and say, look, you've got a camera. Yes, it's an amazing camera and it's got incredible quality, but you are actually doing yourself a disservice. You're actually destroying your love of photography because you won't pick that lens up or that camera up because it's too heavy, and you're missing shots and you're missing opportunities because you won't do it. Like I've had the customers that said, and this is where they get sucked into this whole, marketing of brands. And I use Nikon as an example because I've seen them over the last few workshops with their big lenses, and they've turned around, instead of saying, you know what, I'm going to sell this and go mirrorless, or I'm going to go a different brand or go smaller. Their response to that is, well, I'm just going to buy a second body so I can put the other lens on the second body and I don't have to worry about changing it. It's like, what? You're doubling your weight on your camera. Like you're trying to even your shoulders up.
Yeah.
So I guess my advice to people listening is, it's never too late to change out or go smaller. And it doesn't have to be Nikon to somewhere else or Canon to somewhere else. It can be just Nikon to Nikon mirrorless or Canon to Canon mirrorless, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
But don't feel like you're stuck with the brands you've got, because really across the board, if you're thinking it's quality that's going to change across the board, it's not necessarily. It's going to be weight and features that probably suit your photography more. So I would encourage people to do some research, and you can sell secondhand gear really quickly these days. And you can get pretty good money for lenses and things like that, because people are always wanting to buy stuff. So
yeah, Canon L series lenses generally sell for 90% of their retail
yeah,
value, even up to 10 years later.
That's right.
They really hold their value very, very well.
Yeah.
I'll give you a prime example. So I've got a good customer of mine, Steve, who came in, and he bought a 5 years ago, he bought a Canon 5D Mark IV off me, and he did get a 70 to 200 L series, and he got a 100 to 400 L series lens. Beautiful gear. He's a birder, loves bird picture, blah blah blah. Came in 2 days ago and ordered a Canon RP, which is their bog standard entry level mirrorless, full frame mirrorless. Got himself a Canon RP, got himself an adapter, so his L series EF lenses go onto the R thing. He brought that camera back in today to show me, and it was perfect for him. He downsized everything. He could still use his old lenses if he wanted to. At this point, he had a 24 to 105 on it, their F4. Really, really nice little setup. Point being, he got into full frame mirrorless, including the adapter, for well under $2,000, which I thought was fantastic value. I mean, when you have a look at this thing and what it can do. They are out there where you can still downscale and stay within the ecosystem that you're familiar with, which is probably more important than anything. Like menus and stuff, you've got a shallow learning curve. So if you, and like Cam says, if you're losing your interest in it because you're lugging around big gear, well, you don't need to do that anymore.
Yeah, that's right. And I think also what you touched on there, and something else we touch on a lot, is, and I mentioned it on the other episode last week when I used the baseline Olympus camera with the baseline lens and went around and took some shots. I'm a even firmer believer these days that the camera you have, and you've said it before, has absolutely no bearing on the quality of images that you put out. It is the driver. It's the same as you put a Formula One car driver in it's like the Top Gear. They used to do the average price, the lap into the everyday price of average car. And, the race drivers still do a crazy lap. It all comes down to your knowledge, your vision, your passion for the art. And I really think that, and it should be and always will be, that the camera is just a tool that you use to create what you want to see. So really, a lot of people think, well, I've got to go buy this top line camera because it's going to make my photos better. It's not going to make any difference.
If there was one industry or one art form where you can't buy your way to greatness, it's photography.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, exactly right.
You just can't. You can get you're right. You can get. I've seen it. I've seen people literally spend $20,000 on gear. Yeah. And then come to one of my entry level workshops, just like, I have no idea what I'm doing. So we say this a lot. You don't have to spend a fortune on your gear.
No. And as we've said a lot as well, like, we're here to help. If you've got questions about gear that you're thinking you want to buy, we will give you the bones honest response as to whether or not you need that or not. And you can take it or leave it, what advice we give you. But I think some people might be a little bit reluctant to ask me, because I do run a camera store, and I can sell you gear. I don't care about brands. I really don't. I have zero loyalty to any brands in my store. If you come in, you've done your research on a Canon camera and you're keen on it, well, I'll get you your Canon camera. No, I'll even show you how to use it. No problem at all. I'm not one of these guys that says, "Oh, have you considered the Sony blah blah or the Fuji or the Olympus or the Panasonic?" You obviously don't have spivs in your shop.
No, I don't think anyone does anymore, Cam. I think they're a relic of the of last century almost, though. The way things are so much tighter now. But I pride myself on the fact that I'm an independent retailer. And when I say I'm independent, I mean it. I ain't loyal to no one. I don't have to be. Mind you, these companies love it when I sell their gear for them, which is nice, but they get it. I'm the little mums and dads store, so I'm happy to tell you exactly what I think of something. And I say this a lot in my store. Like, people will come in, they might be scratching their head a bit, like, oh, what would you buy? Like, and my general answer is, it is really hard right now to buy a bad camera. I can't. Okay, maybe Pentax.
I think we just lost all our Pentax listeners.
Well, yeah, they're sort of battling a little bit. I wouldn't say.
Yeah, they haven't done much for a while, but
a few years ago they're okay. But anyway, sorry, I digress. But and I base it more around, okay, well, what's your budget?
Yeah.
And then I'll get a budget. And I go, okay, now let's halve that.
Yeah.
And now let's get you this camera, you know, and then that works so well because first of all, people don't necessarily want to have to drop a fortune on their gear, particularly when they're just dipping their toe in the water of SLR photography or you know, photography that's better than their phone.
Yeah.
You know, and don't discount bridging cameras either. I mean, we sit here and we talk a lot about system cameras, SLRs, interchangeable lenses, all that sort of stuff. Well, I'm here to tell you there's a lot of very, very good bridging cameras. Now, what we mean by those are non-SLR cameras. They have a slightly smaller sensor inside them. They have their own zoom built into them. Canon still make fantastic bridge cameras. Olympus still make great bridge. Panasonic are very good at it. Their TZ series is absolutely wonderful. So, and a lot of these cameras have got the manual control dials, and you know, they're better for some of our older listeners who might not want to have to lug a heap of gear around. You can really simplify it. Canon SX70HS, for example, have a look at that thing. $800, blow your socks off. Amazing what it can do. So there you go.
Yeah, well,
I don't know why I just threw a
random
random plug in for Canon there, but anyway.
No, that's fine. We love Canon, we love Nikon, we love all brands.
We do,
except Pentax apparently.
We're not brandists.
Yeah,
Hi, good folk at Pentax.
Yeah, get Pentax.
Oh dear, we're going to get a letter.
Moving on. Anyway, so that was what I wanted to touch on. Camera brands, in a nutshell, for me, brands mean nothing these days.
Yeah,
it's what you feel comfortable with. You know, you don't have to go buy the biggest and best to get the best photos out of it. And I can hand on heart guarantee you that if you know what you're doing behind a camera and you spend more time getting your knowledge up and understanding of it, then your photos will improve through the roof, as opposed to dropping thousands of dollars on a camera.
Yeah.
Drop it on a workshop. Come and spend thousands of dollars with me, and
drop it on a trip somewhere.
That's a plug.
Absolutely, do it.
Are we going to get onto the other topic, you reckon?
No, probably not.
Oh,
we roll that over. It's a teaser for episode 50.
Well, let's give it a teaser. Next episode we're going to talk about waterfalls and photographing waterfalls and what you need to do to get. I won't read what's on the run sheet, but what you need to do to get those shots right.
I didn't write that.
I didn't. I think I must have been a bit ahead of myself.
Ego.
It was. So we'll touch it on next episode. In episode 50 coming up next episode. So it's a big episode.
Yeah. Well,
I think it's going to be a 4-hour episode. Is that what you said, Brendan?
We could either talk waterfalls, or we could have a greatest hits episode and go back through
greatest hits
episode 50.
We could go back and just see how many times we've hung shit on Canon
or Pentax.
Well, it's 50 times at least.
Yeah. That's right.
Anyway, we'll come back to waterfalls. That was why we had these topics.
Did we give a shout out to Chelsea yet?
Who?
Yeah. Should we move on to Dear Cam?
Yeah, we should. Yeah, I think so. Because we got one.
Okay. Now, if Dear Cam, for those of you who are new to the show, is a segment we sort of roll out every now and then sometimes it disappears, but it depends on when we get one. So we get people to write in a question, and old Dear Cam over here gets to have a crack at answering it, and generally speaking I have a crack at it as well. So it's Dear Us, but we call it Dear Cam because it sounds catchy. Dear Cam, hey guys, you're supposed to start it with Dear Cam. So hey guys,
it's obviously do you want both of us then? Hey
guys, I have a question for Dear Cam. Do you need to get a permit to take photos in a national park? I might be looking to sell my photos next year, so will I need a permit? Steve from Semaphore in South Australia. Semaphore is a little suburb of Adelaide.
Did you just make that up?
It's a beach suburb of Adelaide.
Is it?
It is.
All right, Steve. Excellent question. I believe that across the country, now I might be wrong in some of them, but if you're wanting to do any commercial work, and this can turn into an absolute shit fight of a topic, because if you're wanting to do commercial work in a national park, I'll use Tassie as an example, and Victoria and South Australia, because I've worked in all of them. If you're wanting to do commercial work in a national park in those states, you need to apply for a commercial license to do so. The big question the big gray area that comes up about that is, well, I'm just going on holidays and I want to take some photos, but then I want to maybe sell them later on to people or friends and stuff like that. Do I need a license to do so? Technically, as the letter of the law I understand, yes, you do. If you're going to make any commercial profit or any commercial benefit from taking images in a national park and selling them for profit, then you do need technically to have a commercial license to do that in the park. I think that it varies on degrees around the states and as to what you can and can't photograph. I know here in Tassie, they're pretty relaxed on people doing happy snaps and just sharing them online and all that kind of stuff. But if you're coming to Tassie and you want to take photos and sell them commercially in your gallery, then technically you should be getting a license to do so. So I reckon as a safe thing for Steve, I would say that, yeah, you probably do need a permit in South Australia, but it would depend on what you're going to sell them, where you're going to sell them, where you're shooting as well. There might be some places that are a bit more relaxed. I know, especially in South Australia, they've got quite a lot of Indigenous policies about where you can shoot and can't shoot and what you can and can't sell. So I would say the base answer would be yes, definitely look up what the rules are for those national parks, because you might just get unlucky one day and get an awesome shot, for a kangaroo jumping across the water at a national park or something, and then go and sell it, and then someone tells you, local national park, that you're making money off it, and you might get a phone call from them. So I would say generically, you probably do, yeah. I'm not sure if you know more about that, but Brendan, or
no, I don't.
No? Okay.
I find that quite interesting because as you were speaking, it raised a couple of questions in my head.
How many shots have you sold through your shop that you shouldn't have?
That first, the summer apostles comes to mind, because what if I'm not in the national park, but I'm taking a photo of the 12 apostles?
How would you do that?
That's a grey area.
Well,
the marine, the 12 apostles is in a marine national park, and I think the border is the high tide mark or something along those lines.
I'll give you another little insight to national parks. A lot of national parks permits don't just necessarily be required for national parks. They also are required for reserves and anything managed by parks and wildlife. So
state parks,
game reserves, marine reserves, conservation areas, the whole lot.
Yeah.
So you're probably going to get a knock on the door from Parks Victoria pretty soon, I reckon. I
hope so.
So yeah, it all depends. Like the one thing that is good on the flip side of that for Steve is that if you did want to apply for a parks permit, they're generally fairly straightforward to get. Like you just fill in a form and say, this is where I'm going, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm going to use it for, and this is the date I'll be there, whatever. Like I applied for my permit for South Australia for the Flinders Ranges. They gave me a 1-year permit, but then they're going to extend it to 3 after this year. And that was literally just a form. I had to show them that I was a registered business. I had to show them that I had the correct commercial licenses here in Tasmania, and I was a part of the accreditation for Australian tourism, and also the fact that I could drive a bus legally with people in it. But I think if it's just someone going out to do landscape shots that they want to sell, maybe just touching base with them and saying, hey, this is what I want to do. Do I need a permit for that? Each state might be different. They might say, look, you're fine. But if you're going to start doing this or doing that, then you'll need to apply for something further.
Yeah, a lot of common sense prevails in what you're saying there. So nice one, Steve from Semaphore. If you have a Deer Cam question, by all means, hit us up in the comments below or send us a DM. Is that what the kids do these days, Cam?
Apparently.
Or an email.
What about a TikTok video?
Send us a Deer Cam in the form of an interpretive dance on TikTok.
God, I mean this with all due respect, but I don't think our demographic of listeners would be on TikTok.
I want to see Mel do a TikTok video.
Mel, yeah, and Mel and Chelsea, and maybe Mel, Chelsea, and Ash can link up and do a
TikTok video for us.
A triplet TikTok video.
Deer Cam.
I reckon Chelsea's on TikTok. She's very social media savvy.
I did have a TikTok account in 20.
Really?
Yeah, I did. Well, for the business, because it's where the kids were all.
Of course, it was.
Totally for the business. Absolutely. I love me some TikTok.
Yeah, I bet you do.
Yeah.
I don't even know what TikTok is. It just videos and stuff like that? I don't know.
It's the same as everything. It's Instagram Reels or whatever it is, and Facebook Stories, and it's all the same crap, mate. It's like camera brands.
Before we move on from Steve from Semaphore. Yeah. One other thing for people that are coming to Tasmania, if you are wanting to do, especially Cradle Mountain National Park, there's a little bit of works going on there at the moment. They're building a few visitor platforms and shelters and stuff like that. I had actually someone reach out to me on Instagram over the week. I was up there asking how the hell I got down to do sunrise and sunsets when they've closed the road to a certain point for private vehicles. You can actually, as a photographer, you can actually apply to parks. You can just go to the front office, I believe, and say, I would like to get access to be able to park my car down the end at Dove Lake to do photos outside the bus routes at times. And most of the time, they're pretty accommodating. So if you are going to Tassie coming up and you do want to get down there for sunrise, sunset, otherwise you've got to walk 2 kilometres from where your car is all the way down. But you can ask the Parks and Wildlife. They are pretty friendly there as well. So
yeah, good to hear. Nice one.
Yeah, cool.
All right. Well, what have you got coming up this week?
I am heading off. This tied in with our waterfall topic that we never touched on.
That we didn't get to.
Yeah,
that's
so,
okay.
I'm actually taking some people from the mainland around tomorrow for a couple of days, doing a really quick half lap of Tassie, showing them as many waterfalls in about 2 or 3 days as we can.
Brilliant.
And then I have an East Coast of Tassie tour coming up in about a week or so. So we will head down the coast for 5 days and then a bit of a break. And then I think we're off to the Flinders Ranges after that again. So
Magic.
And you'll be just in your shed doing canvases by the sound of it.
For a little while, yes. I am planning on going out and doing a few shoots. The sunrise and sunset thing you mentioned right off the top of the show about that beautiful magenta that we're getting in the sky. It's crazy here. And it lasts forever. It goes right into twilight. So keen to. I've got a couple of ideas for some shots I want to get. So I'll be out doing that hopefully.
I'd also like to welcome spring, because spring's here apparently down here. It is. Oh, the cherry blossoms out, the wattle's out. It's
a tad early. Hopefully they don't have to go back in again. But
I'm calling it. It's spring.
Oh, see, that's the jinx of all time. You're going to get 10 foot of snow next week now.
Oh, well, what a shame.
It always happens though, doesn't it?
Does.
we get that lulled into a false sense of security. Oh, the weather's improving. Here we go. Yep. And get your puffer jacket back on.
Anyways, sorry, I interrupted your next week. Sorry.
No, it's fine. It's all good. I had nothing more to add than what I already said. So that's it for episode 49. Anything else to add, Cameron?
Next week is 50. 50 episodes. We have been going for more than a year now.
We have, and we also hit another little milestone. Was it 10,000? I told you, was it 10,000 views or something? Yes, we passed on our YouTube channel. We passed 10,000 views.
Does that mean we can monetize it now?
Probably not.
All right. We also ranked. I said you this today as well. We also ranked on our last episode. We were the highest ranking photography podcast in Australia, which is just nuts.
Give it up for the Down South Photo Show. Hey, there you go.
And
from
apologies,
big things grow.
Apologies to everyone that's ordered one of the Down South hoodies for $55 plus delivery. They're on their way to you, but nice. I'm getting inundated with orders.
Yeah, you've had an order.
I've had none. actually, Mel bought one. But if you'd like a hoodie or a t-shirt, they are pretty cool. Yeah. They got our heads on the back.
Have we even got a store where people can go to buy them, or would they have to email us?
Just email us.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah,
we're not that advanced, are we?
Well, I can put them up on my tazphoto.com.au store, but that would mean effort. And
that's right. Yeah. This has been episode 49 of the Down South Photo Show. We'll see you for episode. We'll see you for episode 50 next week.
Hope we do. Bye.
Bye.